Peace. What's going on,
Peace,
my brother?
peace.
Where you
Islam.
from, man?
I'm from Baltimore, Maryland.
Baltimore, Maryland.
Yeah.
Hey, have you ever heard of brother Cyrus Suit and Set?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You
Yes,
a
sir.
more?
Yes, sir.
What do you feel about that, brother?
Oh, the brother is right and exact in a lot of things, and we also have to remember that the oppressor took a lot of our symbols and twisted it and have enslaved us by it.
Okay.
You know, the fez is a wonderful crown of honor, but it has been twisted and we have taken on the poison aspect of it,
Right.
thinking we got the reality.
When
You
you
know,
first
but
saw
I
it-
have nothing against the brother.
You ever heard of brother Cyrus Suit and Set?
I heard of him.
Have you seen any of his clips or any of his DVDs?
I've seen a couple of his DVDs.
What do you think of the brother?
I think that's a powerful brother. I think that's a brother that's got his heart in the right place. You know, I think he has a fairly good grasp of what our history has been as long as black people have been on this planet.
Okay.
All right, as far as recorded history is concerned regarding black people on this planet, I think he has a good grasp of what our history has been. The only problem, and I shouldn't say it's a problem, because people have their specialties.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? You can't expect a doctor to fix your car.
Right,
You know
right.
what I'm saying? So in that brother's field, he's very, very knowledgeable.
I
When you
think the
first
brother's
saw the DVD,
Yes, sir.
the false teachings of the Moors,
Yes.
what went through your mind?
Wow. I said wow. However, because I'm from New York, Allah's projects in Queens, and I grew up in the 5% the nation, Ansarullah, I had overstanding to what he was saying. You know, so his whole goal in the DVD is to get us to start delving into the deeper nature of these things. What he wants us to do from the DVD is stop following their version and stop following their interpretation of our science and step into what we need to do.
Come on, throw it in, son.
Have you ever heard of brother Cyrus Seti?
Yes, absolutely. I
Things
love what the
in
brother is doing.
Right.
Because what it does is it brings the opportunity for conscious dialogue,
There you
which
go.
is what we need, and we shouldn't be emotional about that and think we're being divisive, because at the end, we all gonna be elevated as far as the information.
Beautiful.
So I would love to sit and have a debate with the brother, because he's presenting the kind of material that needs to be presented in a way that it needs to be presented, not just rhetoric, not myths. The brother is doing a scholastic, chronology to stand on the point that he's standing on. And I appreciate that, brother, even though some people don't appreciate that.
Right,
You know
right.
what I mean?
feel you.
Sinetta, the brother Seti, peace. I love you. I love all of those that want to stand up
That's
for
right.
truth.
That's what's up.
I only seen one clip of it. I had got a general email when it first went out, and another follow-up email. And if you're looking at it on face value, then I mean, what he says is not absolutely false. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, it may be the way that he went
says
about
it.
it, right? You know what I'm saying? That people, are feeling some type of way. But as the brother said, it is absolutely necessary. You need that spark, you need that fire, you need that heat to bring about the proper dialogue so we can let this thing simmer,
Right.
bring it to a boil, and do what we gotta do.
You need that opposing viewpoint.
That's right.
So those who have the correct information could come through, basically
go.
put that to rest and get it out of the way. So that's why I told him when I met him that he was essential, that his argument was needed, because it gets all of the naysayers out of the way. It's an excellent learning process for those who do not know. When they watch the debate and when they watch the two different viewpoints, they'll be able to learn something at the end of it, because all kind of information will come out of that. So, like I said, I'm waiting. I can't wait. I told him I can't wait.
Black power.
Black power.
That's what's up.
Yes, sir.
That's right, we're gonna dedicate this lecture. You know, it's a beautiful thing to be able to hook up with my brother Sinetta.
And we're gonna dedicate it to all three of them brothers.
That's right, we're gonna dedicate it to the 5-star general, Khalid Muhammad. We're gonna dedicate it to the master of grand masters, Dr. John Henry Clark. And we're gonna, you know what? Let it roll, brother. Let me get this up off of here. We don't need that no more. We're gonna dedicate it to the grand master of grand masters, Dr. Yosef Ben Yakanan, who woke our people up in the West to the Nile Valley. And we need to be clear on that. Dr. Ben, if it was not for Dr. Ben, no one would be talking about Kemet, the Nile Valley, or anything other than Frederick Douglass, Martin Luther King. It was Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark that woke us up to this knowledge that we have today. So we have to always pay homage to these grandmaster teachers.
And one more thing, brother, I would like to say. You can cut that light off now, Donnell. Before you get started, brother, is that brothers always coming to me saying that Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad called himself a Moor. I don't have no problem with that. See, what you got to realize is that he never denied his blackness.
That's right.
He never denied that slavery existed.
That's right.
If he said he was a Moor, I guarantee you he was a black man first.
That's right.
And Moor second.
That's
you
right.
See what I'm saying? So I ain't got no problem with him saying he's a Moor. So what?
But who said that he said he was a Moor?
You know, the Moors always try to use that against
do
me.
they got a
because they
video?
know-
But do they got anything?
Yeah, he got a video saying.
Yeah, he got a video
Oh, he
saying
do?
that.
But to understand how Khalid coming, he never usurped chronology.
Right.
Right.
Now, if you say in the medieval period of Europe we was Moors, I could understand what you're talking about because you stay in your chronological context.
Right.
But once you move out of that and try to take all of African history and put it up under Moorish history,
science, right.
you usurping chronology.
Right. Now let me give you the spin on it, how Khalid look at it as well. Khalid will come to you if he's going to a Moorish event. He's going to come in as a Moor because he say all of that is us. If he's going to the Muslims event, he's going to say I'm a Muslim.
That's right.
If he go to the Nation of Gods and Nerds, where I got a tape on that too, he's coming in the 5% nation because Khalid don't separate. He's saying that all of us we are all one.
Right.
You
Even
see?
the
That's
Masons. Even the Masons.
So that's what
right.
Khalid will tell you. Hold up. He would say, I'm a Moor, I'm a Christian, I'm all of that. All of that is me.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? So it ain't just, I'm a Moor. That's not what he just said. All right, brother, say it's on you.
Okay. Of course, you know, I'm going to give mad props out to my brother Sonetta for bringing me here, man, and helping me, you know, to make this possible because I couldn't do this without him. You know, he been, you know, giving me a lot of energy, man, to get out here and do what I'm doing. So, I mean, I was telling Sonetta that I was coming to Harlem, man, back 10, 15 years ago. I don't know how long he been on the street, but he was the only brother out on these streets doing this work. So you cats wasn't even out here. So you can say what you want to say. You knew Jax to this game, but Sonetta been out on these streets since the beginning. So you got to give him his props, and I'm giving him his props. Now a lot of people, you know, I just want y'all to let y'all know that the things that I'm saying not only because I read that Dr. Clark and Dr. Ben schooled me in this knowledge, but they also told me to go and see these things for myself. That was me at the Step Pyramid of Saqqara. This is me after I had been raised by the master teacher Asra. I was in the Temple of Karnak. I also went down to do some comparative study down in Mexico while I was researching the Olmecs. This is me at the Step Pyramid of Pakal, which was an initiate priest over here in these areas that we call America today, and I did some research on him to show that the Nile Valley Africans had even come here and taught the so-called Indian.
I want you to look at that stone, brother, that you're sitting on right there.
That's indeed.
Where's that place at right there, brother?
That's the pyramid of Seneferu. Seneferu is the father of Khufu, and Seneferu built the world's first true pyramid. That's me and my queen. You know what I'm saying? She also been to the Nile Valley twice, and she been to Mexico once.
Okay.
You know, this is me at the pyramid field in Mexico, Teotihuacan, which they aligned those pyramids with the pyramids of Giza. So we're not just shooting off at our mouth. We got the mathematical and architectural science down to a degree, and we know exactly. This is me at Giza. And there's the Grand Master Teacher, Dr. Yosef Ben Yakanan, whose tutelage I done been up under for now 20 years. You know, I didn't just jump under Dr. Ben. This is me being raised by the Master Teacher Asra Kwesi. I was on the dead level. You understand? And my brothers came and they grabbed me in the lion's grip and they raised me up to a living perpendicular. And this is when I became Seti. And that's me at the Grand Lodge of Waset, and I'm taking my oath. I got my wasket, which is my priestly collar on, and I'm standing before our brothers and sisters, and I'm giving my oath to them. So that's my layout as far as why I think that brothers and sisters should at least take into consideration what I'm saying. This is my spiritual father, Seti. If you look right there, that's Men Ma'at Ra. And this is Seti. That was his royal name. And Seti was one of the first kings after Akhenaten that came upon the throne to make a correction of what Akhenaten had done. Akhenaten was a weak pharaoh. When he came on the scene, he shut down the temples of Amun or Amun. You understand what I'm saying? And under his rulership, all of the Asiatic colonies that our African ancestors had through their spreading of culture and spreading of civilization under Akhenaten, we lost all of those Asiatic colonies. And they were even at the door trying to come into Kemet. And it was Seti who came upon the throne to make that correction. This is his tomb in the Valley of the Kings. It was the most extravagant tomb in the Valley of the Kings. So when you see how they carved down in these mountains, not only the pyramids, there is no place on the planet Earth where you can go and see for yourself the actual fact of the beginning of civilization. No one else was using technology to this level. And why is that? Because the Africans was dealing with this technology for hundreds of thousands of years. And they have perfected it, which enabled them to build on this level. Now, a lot of people they was calling me out by my name, Seti. And a lot of people don't understand that Seti, in various passages in the Book of the Dead, was a righteous deity. See, they don't understand the rituals. Only it's in certain rituals where he has become an enemy to Osai. But that's only in various passages. In many other passages, he's a divine deity. Because we don't think that our brother and our Pharaoh Seti would name himself after a demon. We just don't have common sense that when he comes to the throne, that he's not naming himself after a demon. So you see right here, you see Set and you see Heru. They both have their hands on this crown to show the balance in the laws of opposite, that you needed both. I had to show this. This is Seti on the wall. And Seti is, again, he's a war sultan. He's come back to correct a lot of the wrongs that was made under Akhenaten. And this is called the smiting of the enemy, where he grabs his enemies by their hair and he got his war mace up top and he's going to come down, he's going to crack them heads. This is another image of a sultan, the smiting of the enemy. All pharaohs had to take this position. You understand what I'm saying? Kemet, we got to be real. A lot of our brothers today, because they're so scared of the Peckerwood, they don't want to deal with this fact that the Kemetic kings, the Nubian kings, were warriors. They were not burning incenses. They were not reading horoscopes. They were not lighting candles. When it came to defending the nation, that was one of the primary roles of the sultan, was to step up and defend the kingdom. Here again is a smiting of the enemy. And here, right here, you see, this is a image of Amun with the Kopish, which is the war sickle. And he's handing it to the sultan and giving the sultan permission to go to war. And again, this for my brother Amun, that's right here. This is Amun, or Amun, same thing. See that Kopish? It's a sickle. That's for severing of heads. So when people call on Amun or Amen, you got to understand he's a war deity. First and foremost. That's why he got that co-piece in his hand.
And what is the co-piece for the people that's
a sickle. That's the actual name.
It's like a machete that we use today.
Right. But it got that sickle on it because it's easy to sever that head.
That head off.
You understand what I'm saying? This is Ramesu, or what they call Ramesses II, again defending Kemet. That's Ramesu or Ramesses again. And this is at Beni Hassan, where it shows the brothers going through all of the martial arts, katas, the different grapple techniques that they had. Our brothers and sisters wasn't just in Kemet, man, burning incenses, reading horoscopes. These was warrior kings and queens, ready to defend their lands at all costs. And what you see on Ramesses or Ramesu, you see this is the war crown. When he got that crown on, ain't no asking no questions.
Now, Brother Seti, let me ask you a question, brother.
Yes, sir.
At this time period that you're talking about right now, in the images that you are displaying, where was Islam, Christianity, Judaism? Where was these religions at, brother? Did they exist?
They did not exist, because when you're talking about Islam, Islam came around 500-600 AD. Christianity didn't start until the so-called birth of Christ around 1 to 3 AD. Judaism, Hebrewism, you understand what I'm saying? It wasn't in a written form to around, Dr. Ben said, 700 AD. So when you're talking about Ramesu, you're talking about 1500 BCE. You understand what I'm saying? And Ramesses or Ramesu II is late in Kemetic history. He's in the New Kingdom. The Middle Kingdom and the Old Kingdom have already passed. But I brought this out because this is our Menehat. The first, this is a royal medallion that came up out of his tomb. Do you see the color? What's the colors?
Red, white, and blue.
Red, white, and blue. Okay? This is where the Masons came over there and stole them colors. But instead of the vulture at the top, they got the eagle. That's exactly where they stole them colors. Now, what I'm going to do to show you the origin, because a lot of people give a foreign origin to Kemet. Now, right here to the left, you see the Nile. You see it flowing down. Now, at this point, it's already became one river. You got the Blue Nile coming up out of Ethiopia at Lake Tana. And you got the White Nile coming up out of, if you go to the map today, it's called Lake Victoria. We know ain't no Lake Victoria in Africa. That's under the imperialism and the colonialism of the European, where they rename a lot of our artifacts, a lot of our lands, a lot of our rivers and our lakes. But I want you to know, see the river come down? And then when you get down to the delta, it takes the form symbolically of a lotus. Now when you come over here to our side, you see this? This right here is a rectangle with the sign of water in it. This is the primeval waters. This represents the Great Lake waters of Africa. Lake, what they call Mwanza Nyanza, or the white man calls Lake Victoria. You got Lake Tanganyika. You got Lake Malawi. These are the origins of the Nile. The Nile is flowing from south to north. The high regions is in the south, where the mountains are located. And it's flowing down to the delta region. So you see the lotus coming up out of the primeval waters. What you see, this lotus, is what you see here. And you see the 4 sons of Horus that represents east, west, south, and north, showing that humanity came up out of Central East Africa and was born from Kemet into the rest of the parts of the planet Earth. Asia, Europe, so-called Americas. This is where they descend from. They're coming up out of the south of Africa. Now what you see here is Aker, which represents the 2 twin lions, yesterday and today. And when you see this, which is the twin mountain regions, also representative of Aker, yesterday and today. Akka is synonymous with equal, even, equator. It's showing that the sun is born at the equator. It's showing that this is where our people descended from. We descended up out of Central East Africa, the south of Egypt. Nubia was the mother of Egypt. Now this is a BBC documentary. Well, I won't say, well, you can say document. I won't say documentary because that's a film. But it says Egypt, ancient Egypt, respected dwarfs. And it also mentions right there that there are two dwarf gods in ancient Egypt, Bes and Ptah. Bes was a protector of sexuality, childbirth, women, and children. His temple was recently excavated in the Baharian oasis in the middle of Egypt. The reason why I brought that out because Bes and Ptah are the two oldest deities in the Nile Valley. And when you say Egypt, Egypticos, you spell it E-G-Y-P-T, Egypt. The P and the T is the first two letters of Ptah. Egypt Ptah. That's where it comes from, Ptah. So that lets us know when the Greeks named that land that they knew that the origins of Kemet came up out of the south. Because they named it after Detroit. They named it after Ptah. And we clear about that. This right here is a now let me quit saying well, I can say document, but this comes out of the New York Times. And this was back in 1972 when they put this out. It says 43,000-year-old mine discovered in Swaziland. Now they
43,000.
43,000 years ago, they were smelting iron. Most people ain't even got a culture. The Greeks didn't even come on the scene until around 1000 BC. You don't have no humanity in America. They debating between 15,000 years, 30,000 years, 40,000 years. Our peoples in Africa and Swaziland is down in South Africa. So Dr. Ben say it left the Great Lakes and it went south before it went north to Egypt. Now what we're dealing with right here is Herodotus, the so-called Greek father of history. He lived around 450 BC, and he was an eyewitness. He went on an exploratory fact-finding mission to write down the history of the world. And when he went into Egypt, this is what he said. The Egyptians, they went on to affirm, first brought into use the name of the 12 gods, which the Greeks adopted from them and first erected altars, images, and temples to the god. They also engraved upon the stone the figures of animals. In most of these cases, they proved to me that what they said was true. And they told me that the first man who ruled over Egypt was men, and that it was in his time all Egypt, except the Thebaid canton, was a marsh. So what he's saying is that Egypt at one time was a part of the sea. It was a part of the sea. But during the inundation period every year, when Egypt floods, it brings down a lot of silk out of Ethiopia. And over these hundreds of thousands of years of that silk coming down, depositing in the Delta region, the land came up. The land formed. Because the silk kept building up and building up and building up. So at one point in time, it was a part of the sea.
You talking about upper and lower?
Lower Egypt, Alexandria, the portion that's on the Mediterranean right now. It was a point in time where the the Nubians had documented that land was not even there. It had just recently come into being. And when I say just recently, we're talking about tens and thousands of years. But when the silk would come down, it would just load up and load up and load up. And eventually the land came up out of the water from the silk coming down the Nile.
So when did ancient Netahapi, when did he play his part in that?
Hapi is a southern deity. Hapi existed before Kemet.
Okay.
All of these deities existed before Kemet. They existed in Nubia. You understand what I'm saying? And when they went into Kemet, they took their deities with them. So Hapi was it, and what it says, Morris, this Lake Morris, then showing itself above the surface of the water. This is a distance of 7 days sail from the sea up the river. So he was saying that primarily Cairo, what you call Cairo today, that was underwater. It didn't even exist. You understand what I'm saying? It was a part of the sea. And what he says again, what they say of their country seemed to me very reasonable for anyone who sees Egypt, not nobody just reading, anyone who sees Egypt, because when I was flying over the Delta region, right down there by the Mediterranean, you could see it looked like weak land. You wouldn't want to be walking on it. That's what I'm saying. It looked like it just come into being. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to be walking on it. Without having heard a word before, must perceive if he has only common powers of observation, that the Egypt to which the Greeks go in their ships is an acquired country, the gift of the river. That the silt coming down the river for all them hundreds of thousands of years filled that water until it became land. The same is true of the land above the lake to the distance of 3 days voyage. So just like when the Moors get to talking about Tamori, and I'll pull Egypt off the damn map. I'll pull it up off the map. Now what you got? You understand what I'm saying? It's just really Kemet just came into being. It was not always a part of African society. It's the last civilization on the Nile that came into being. Now, what he says here, this is on the medical, some knowledge on the medical history of the ancient Egyptians. The Egyptians have also discovered more prognostics than all the rest of mankind besides. Whenever a prodigy takes place, they watch and record the result. Then if anything similar ever happens again, they expect the same consequences. So there it is. They showing you that our ancestors was not just guessing. They was documenting history. And they was showing, even with the astronomy, they was showing that as you move into various, what you would call, I think you would call it, what is the word that they would call it? Well, you got the zodiacs. You got 12 zodiacs. As you move into each zodiac, it has its own characteristics. In certain zodiacs, we up. Certain zodiacs, we down. The water will rise higher in one zodiac period than the other. They had documented it. You understand what I'm saying? So when our ancestors told the Greeks, they told the Greeks, y'all will always be children because y'all ain't got no records to tell y'all what's gonna happen. So y'all gonna fall for the okie doke all the time. We ancient. We know what's gonna happen before it even happened. Because we done seen it so many times and documented it. You understand what I'm saying? They done been, now the great year is the sun's revolution, where it makes one complete revolution. It's about 25,000 years. At the time of when they showed the iron mine, that's 43,000 years, they had almost been around there twice. Well, if you just take 43,000 years, so they had been around the great year at least twice. That's 50,000 years they done been around. The white man just got history 2,000 years ago. So we done seen it so many times that we know what's gonna happen before it happened. It's not a guess period. It's not a guess period. What he says right here, this for the white boys, this is what he said. Thirdly, it is certain that the natives of the country are black with the heat.
Hold up, say that again, man.
Thirdly, it is certain that the natives of the country are black with the heat.
And who's saying that?
Herodotus.
Now see that? The Moors are scared to say that word black.
450 years BC.
Look at that.
You understand what I'm saying? He documented it. Now this the Great Lakes region. This is Mwanza and Nyanza, which the white man called Lake Victoria. This is Lake Tanganyika, and if I'm not mistaken, this is Lake Malawi. And Lake Malawi got more varieties of fish than any lake in the world. And this is all fresh water. I want y'all to know that. That's all fresh water. So you can imagine this is the reason why humanity started in this region. Because you can look at all the rest of Africa.